Gardenhire, along with Fran, Healy, and Tim McCarver, all set for what everybody has built up to be, the battle for first place, and that is exactly what it is. The Mets are a half game back of the Philadelphia Phillies in the National League East, and they have a 3-game series with Philadelphia. First time the Mets have been involved in a pennant race for quite some time. Back in 1973, the Mets went all the way and played in the World Series. Yes.
Tell you, Ralph Kiner, it is rare that a guy gets locked in as much as Hubie Brooks appears to be locked in. You can't wait to get to the park, can you?
Well, Tim, it's a nice feeling to know that you can come out to the ballpark and you can have fun along with winning. It makes it all that much more simpler. It's not a task to come to the ballpark. It's just like, I just can't wait to get there.
You can't wait, and that ball looks like a cantaloupe coming up there, doesn't it?
I tell you what, it sure feels good to know that I'm back on the track and hitting the ball the way that I can hit the ball. And I tell you, I've worked hard at it, but right now everything's falling into place, and I feel great.
Ken, is there anything over the last 2 years, have you retrospectively looked back over the last 2 years and said, gosh, I found something that wasn't there the last 2 years?
Well, no, it's never been a fact of I found something that wasn't there. It's the fact that people are off my back now, and it's not like everybody's expecting me to do a job of 9 men. It's just the fact that they realize that I'm going to go out and I'm going to do my job. I'm going to do my job well. And it's not that they're on my back anymore. It's just that they're letting me go out and play like Hubie Brooks can play without putting a lot of added pressure on me, without expecting me to be a certain way.
And when you play, it sure is fun playing behind this young pitching staff, isn't it?
It's fun playing behind this young pitching staff, and it's fun playing along with this young batting order we have.
And it seems to be a different feeling on the ball club, too, that they can't wait to get here either, and that, I think, winning changes that, right?
Winning changes a lot of attitudes, you know. I went through that for 2 years. We weren't winning ball games, Tim, and when they had to point the finger, it usually was pointed at me, I thought. And now we're winning, and they aren't pointing the fingers anymore. They're just raising their hands and giving us 5.
When the finger is pointed to Hubie Brooks now, it's usually on a high 5 after a home run, as he has 8, his career high, and he is smashing that P. Let's go back up to the booth to Ralph Kiner and Fran Healy. Nice going, Hubie.
Okay, Hubie Brooks, and Hubie's certainly doing his job as well as the other Mets as they come in here.
Most of a big crowd here tonight at Shea Stadium, and talking about the Mets, should be an exciting ball game, and a guy who has some thoughts on the Phillies Mets next 6 games out of the Mets 9 is Davey Johnson. I talked to Davey earlier, so let's hear what he had to say.
Well, I think it's going to be an outstanding confrontation because I think they're the team to beat in the National League East, and it's going to be a question of, really, in my mind, can our young pitchers hold their hitters? They put about 5-6 runs aboard up on every time they go out there. You know, they hit home runs. They are very explosive offensively. If our pitcher can hold them down, I think we'll take 4 out of 6.
4 out of 6. I think they'd settle for that as you take a look at Davey Johnson and Frank Howard going over the lineup cards. The Phillies have won 5 in a row as they come in here. The Mets defense will be Hernandez, Gardenhire, O'Kendall, and Brooks. Foster, Wilson, Strawberry in the outfield. The catcher, Mike Fitzgerald, and the pitcher, Ed Lynch. Record of 7 wins and 1 loss, an earned run average of 2.64. In 58 innings, he struck out 28, and he has walked only 9, and that's a very key stat, the 9 walks. Record of 7 wins and 1 loss, an earned run average of 2.64. In 58 innings, he struck out 28, and he has walked only 9, and that's a very key stat, the 9 walks. Take the field. And they will have Corcoran at first base, Samuel at second, DeJesus at short, Schmidt at third, Stone, Maddox, and Hayes in the outfield, Ozzie Virgil catching, and the pitcher, Jerry Koosman. Jerry with a record of 6-6, an earned run average of 2.94. He has worked 79 2/3 innings, striking out 55 and walking 25. He's had 1 completed game this year. Jerry Koosman with 208 Major League victories.
And Koosman will face Mookie Wilson, Ron Gardenhire, Keith Hernandez, George Foster, Darryl Strawberry, Hubie Brooks, Mike Fitzgerald, Jose Oquendo, and Ed Lynch.
Mookie Wilson will lead it off. Mookie was scheduled to bat second in the original batting order, but Calvin Chapman was scratched because he has a fever, and Ron Gardenhire was put in the ball game. And with that, they move Mookie to the leadoff position. Gardenhire batting second. Mookie hitting .292, 3 home runs, 17 runs batted in. And Koosman starts off with a curveball. Mookie, an idea about bunting that, almost had his shoe tops taken off. Mookie hitting .326 in his last 33 games. He brings a 10-game hitting streak into this game. Koosman back with a fastball, 1 ball, 1 strike. You're going to see a lot of mixed pitches. You're going to see a lot of slow curveballs, big rolling type curveballs with a sneaky fastball.
He's been around too long not to know how to pitch.
And he tries a fastball, 2 balls and a strike. And they're still coming in off of the Flushing line on what has turned out to be a beautiful night for baseball.
Deja vu here at Shea Stadium.
Fastball, and the count 2 balls and 2 strikes.
Mookie Wilson, along with Wally Backman, have done a great job setting the table for the Mets.
Mookie from the right-hand side with the left-hander going. And he pops one up into shallow left field. It's in foul territory. Mike Schmidt back makes the play. So Mookie is out. And that'll bring up Ron Gardenhire.
Second baseman, number 19.
Kelvin Chapman was originally scheduled to play tonight. He has a virus. Temperature of about 100, but he's here and ready to pinch hit. Type of ball player Ralph Kiner likes.
The old bulldog, huh?
That's right. Get that flow.
Oh, Gardenhire is a bulldog. He wants to play. His average of 187. And that's ball 1.
You don't mind those bulldogs as long as they don't interfere with your swing, right? Keep them on first base. Don't let them run.
And Gardenhire lines it to right center field. Over there to field it, right fielder Von Hayes, and Gardenhire has the first base hit for the Mets.
Well, Keith Hernandez talked to me before the game as far as his approach to hitting Jerry Koosman. Here's what he had to say.
Well, I haven't faced Jerry but once this year, and it's been a long time, but from what I got from him last start against us in April, I believe, he's got a slow curveball, and he runs a hard sinker inside. So you have to make sure that the sinker ball, you don't swing at the bat when it starts in the inside corner, and it'll sink in bad for a ball. And his curveball, you got to make him get it up.
So now Keith Hernandez in the batter's box, hitting .293 for the year. And there's the sinking fastball for ball 1.
And like all hitters, he talked about the last time he faced him in April. I guess in baseball, you have to look back before you move forward. As in this case right now, Keith Hernandez moving forward, look back to April.
And the rolling curveball he talked about, the slow curve, 2-0.
It's amazing how a guy will have that in the back of his mind. He's played how many games since the last time he faced Jerry Koosman?
Well, maybe about 40.
And yet, it's like yesterday. He forgot all those games and he's thinking back to April.
Gardenhire draws the throw at first base. Hernandez with 4 home runs and 28 RBIs. And a strike call, 2-1. Jerry Koosman blazed the scene in 1968 as a rookie. Won 19 ball games, set a record for rookie pitchers on a Met club, and he also had 7 shutouts. There goes the runner, the ball tapped out to second. The play will have to go to first. They pick up the out as Gardenhire moves down to second base.
All right there, looked like a hit and run. Keith Hernandez putting the ball in play. Rarely does Hernandez swing at a bad ball. He protected the runner, put the ball in play, and now Gardenhire is on second base with a chance to score.
And the batter coming up for the Mets, George Foster. Foster hitting .224 for the year. Club leader in home runs with 10. Also in runs batted in with 31. Foster has not had a home run against the Phillies this year. He's batting .240 against them with 6 hits. Koosman has had 31 shutouts in his major league career. And he rolls the curveball outside, and it's ball 1. Last year, Koosman with the White Sox won 11 and lost 7. Same record in 1982 with the White Sox, 7-11.
Sounds like a score.
Fastball, and it's a strike. 1 ball, 1 strike.
Well, this guy with the Mets did not pitch with hard-hitting ball clubs. Yet had some fine years here in New York.
1-1 pitch. And that one low. 2 balls and a strike. Jerry Koosman was almost released by Joe McDonald, the general manager of the Mets. He was in the minor leagues. He owed the club something like $50. And they said, let's release him. He can't pitch. Joe McDonald said, well, he owes us $50. Let's keep him another 2 weeks. Hit the $50 out of his paycheck. That's how they kept him.
Oh, boy.
And that pitch outside, it's 3-1 to Foster.
Just goes to show you, if you can get him to death, you know, you might be able to last this game.
Well, he certainly hung on from there. That's how great decisions are made, huh?
Well, I tell you, I can't believe it.
Runner at second base, 2 men out. Bottom of the first inning. And Foster misses the fastball. So it's 3-2.
I gotta believe, although it's early in the season, it's nail-biting time for both clubs. As I mentioned earlier, Rose Perez and Morgan gone from the Phillies. Phillies trying to really do the job. A lot of people picking the Phillies to win this.
And he struck him out. So Foster, challenged by Koosman with 2 fastballs, is struck out. That ends the inning. No runs, 1 hit. A man left at second. The score at the end of 1. It's the Phillies nothing and the New York Mets nothing.
The order has done some damage.
Koosman with 1 hit and 26 times up, and he's in a bunting situation. Phillies now with 5 hits in the first 2 innings. And as we mentioned, they are a run-scoring ball club. They're second to the Cubs in team batting with a .273 batting average. And they have averaged 4.8 runs a game. A total of 302 runs coming into this game. Cubs are hitting at .276 as a team. And they have outscored the Phillies. A bunt, and it's bobbled by Lynch, but he has time, and he picks it up and gets Koosman. So on the sacrifice to Jesus down to second. And with 1 man out, we go back to the top of the batting order. Bottom of the second inning, the Phillies leading 2-0, and for the Mets, it'll be Darryl Strawberry to lead off. Jerry Koosman working for the Phillies. And Strawberry hits a high fly ball to right center field. Von Hayes on the warning track. And Strawberry is out. Darryl with 8 home runs and 28 RBIs, just missed picking up 1 of each. Getting under that ball just a shade.
Those 2 home runs the other day had to help Darryl Strawberry's confidence. It's nourishment to a hitter when he can pick up a couple hits and a couple home runs in 1 day.
Takes that pressure off, and here's a man who has taken the pressure off himself with a fantastic year, hitting at .312. And he has 8 home runs. That's his high in the major leagues for a single season. 29 runs batted in. Hubie Brooks takes a fastball.
National League Player of the Week.
Week ending June 17th, he batted .480 with 12 base hits, 3 home runs, and 5 RBIs. And the off-speed pitch for a strike. Hubie has hit in 36 of his last 40 games, batting .369 over that period. And that ball was just nicked.
In the interview with Tim McCarver before the ball game, he said that for the past 2 years, he said he's happy to get everybody off his back.
He says they've been pointing the finger at me.
Boy, they have a lot of fingers.
Tim came back with a good line. He says, well, the fingers you're getting now are the high 5.
That's right.
And it's 1-2.
Seemed very upset by the fact that the fingers were being pointed in his direction.
1-2, the count to Hubie Brooks. And that one fouled off. Hubie against the Philadelphia Phillies has really had a tough time this year. If he took his at-bats away from Philadelphia, he'd be up there among the league leaders. He's hitting .087 against the Phillies with 2 hits and 23 times up. Went to the fastball, and he snuck it by. So, second strikeout.
Oh, here's Mike Fitzgerald. I talked to him before the ball game about his rapport with the veteran pitchers on the Mets. Let's hear what he had to say.
Well, I feel it's a good one. I feel I have a good rapport with all the pitchers. Ed Lynch, is a veteran now, and I don't feel Eddie's an old pitcher. I think a lot of people don't consider Ed a veteran, although he has been in the big leagues a while. But I have a good rapport with all the pitchers, and we're doing a good job right now. We're getting some good performances from our starting staff, and as you know, we've got a great bullpen.
The story of Mike Fitzgerald at his first pitch by Koosman, a fastball. Fitzgerald hitting .234. He has 1 home run and 12 RBIs.
You know, Ralph, I think Bill Dickey hit it on the nose when he told Tim McCarver coming into pro ball, very important to make the pitcher your friend.
And the fastball fouled away, 1 ball, 1 strike.
And that goes into the rapport, as Mike Fitzgerald talked about rapport with the veteran pitchers. Well, he had a few obstacles to overcome. One was to make the ball club, and number 2 was to get the starting job.
Koosman misses with a fastball, 2 balls, 1 strike. He was not even considered as the #1 catcher by the Mets when they started spring training.
Yeah, I thought they were going to send him back, really. They felt he had a good bat, which he's proven. He does have a nice, quick swing. He's done a fine job behind the plate.
And the fastball again. Ball foul back into the stands, 2 balls, 2 strikes.
I think a problem a catcher can have, Ralph, is many times he started off very aggressive throwing the ball at second base, and then a couple of guys stole a base on him. Then he took his time. I think you can run into a throwing slump, taking your time, making a perfect throw, but still the guy beats the throw.
And again, the foul ball. That doesn't make much difference if you make a perfect throw, taking your time when the guy's safe.
That's right. I know we've talked about it before, where most of the bases stolen are stolen on a pitcher. I tend to disagree with that theory. They blame an awful lot on the pitcher. I've seen a lot of bad throws by catchers over the years.
2-2. Koosman goes to the curveball, and it's chopped foul.
You know, I'd love to be able to blame the pitcher for all the guys that stole the base when I was catching. Well, I tell you, you have just as many problems behind the plate as the pitcher.
About the quickest release I ever saw was Al Lopez, who was one of the great catchers in the Hall of Fame. 2-2. Missed with a fastball. It's 3-2.
Is he in the Hall of Fame as a player or a manager?
As a player.
Is
He
that
caught more games than any catcher ever caught.
I thought he was not a good hitter.
I think his lifetime average was about 270. But he was an outstanding catcher.
The best looking throwing catcher I've seen for mechanics and everything, Jerry Grody.
Won't get much of an argument here.
Excellent, huh?
Mm-hmm. And again, the foul ball.
And when you can impress a guy, for example, you watch him every day, when you can impress a guy like yourself, you had to be a good throwing catcher.
Jerry Grody was great on foul balls. Of course, he caught Jerry Koosman and Dom Seaver over the great years of the Mets. And again, the foul ball.
I think if a guy can catch the ball and throw the ball, he can get in the big leagues. He can be a backup catcher. Heck, he can even start. He doesn't have to hit.
Well, that catching is such an important part of this game of baseball. And a hard fly ball out to center field. Maddox is on his way, and he makes a play. Gary Maddox, one of the best defensive outfielders that you'll ever see. And he makes the play to end the inning.
Oh, here it is again. Mike Fitzgerald tattooed this ball, drove it a long way. Surprised the Philly center fielder, Gary Maddox, who gets back and makes the play and then trips. Falls, but holds on to the ball. Red-lettered play by Gary Maddox.
So a 1-2-3 inning, and the score at the end of 2, it's the Philadelphia Phillies 2, the New York Mets nothing. Mookie Wilson. Mookie fouled out his first time up. Mookie bringing a 10-game hitting streak into the game. The infield is back, and the first pitch is ball 1. Phillies are willing to give up a run to defend against the base hit. The only man that might have a play at home would be Mike Schmidt. And ball 2. 2 balls, no strike. Phillies leading 2-0. The Mets with a runner at third base. 1 man out, bottom of the 3rd. And Mookie fouls it back into the stands. Jerry Koosman, a 20-game winner for the Mets. He also, the next year, was a 20-game loser. And a strike call, 2-2.
Talking about an emotional elevator.
He was the 7th National League pitcher to win 20 and lose 20 the next year. Steve Carlton, the last to do it. Chopped out to the shortstop side. Tough play. No play at the plate. The throw to first base is in time for the out. A spectacular play by Ivan De Jesus. The Mets get a run. And it's now the Phillies 2 and the Mets 1.
And that was an outstanding play by De Jesus to get Mookie Wilson at first base. Here it is again, the curveball and a high chopper. Nice play. And a nice play on the other end by Corcoran.
And now the batter will be Ron Gardenhire, who singled his first time up, and he takes for ball 1. Gardenhire hit a line drive single over the head of the second baseman his first time up. Came off a fastball, and now Koosman going to the curve. I don't think any pitcher sweats any more than Jerry Koosman does in the game.
Perspiration's good for you, I understand.
It's when you don't.
That's right.
You're in trouble.
It's good for you unless you're standing next to the person conspiring.
And a ball, and count 3-0. Koosman back to the fastball. Gardenhire looking to see whether or not he's hitting or taking. He has no home runs. And a strike call. Jerry Koosman with a count of 3-1. And this one fouled back. It's into the stands, out of play.
Tough time of night right now also, as Ozzie Virgil is pointing up in the air. Tell me where it is when it goes up. Everybody has to help out at this time of night.
Twilight time. The lights haven't taken their full effect yet. 3-2 pitch. Check swing, foul ball, and that ball out of the strike zone.
American League scores: Detroit 2, New York nothing, 1-0. Toronto on top of Milwaukee. Boston ahead of Baltimore 1-0. Cleveland and Minnesota no score. Everybody else later on tonight.
And again a foul ball. So Gardenhire keeps it going. Count stays at 3 balls and 2 strikes. Koosman was traded to Minnesota for Greg Field, and then the good name Jesse Orozco. Ground ball chopped out to third. Mike Schmidt over to first base for the out. But the Mets get one on the double by Jose Oquendo, and the run set up by the sacrifice by Ed Lynch. No one left on base. The score at the end of 2. It's the Philadelphia Phillies 2, the New York 1.
Short hop. The ball rolls, doesn't stay in front of him. It rolls too far away. Now he has to rush his throw. Gets under it, leads with his elbow, and throws it over Hernandez's head. Now watch his elbow when he goes to throw. This is what not staying on top will do. Now watch him lead with his elbow. The trajectory of the ball takes it right over Hernandez's head. It lodges in the tarp, and it's a throwing error on Hubie Brooks.
They give him a hit?
Not yet.
Well, anyways, the batter's Jerry Koosman. He proved his first time up he can sacrifice. And he bunts the ball foul. Strike 1.
I guess in effect you could give a double error on that. One for allowing the runner to get to first, and then the overthrow of first base. By the way, Franny, the Yankees return to Sports Channel Friday night at 8 o'clock as Yogi's Yankees take on Cal Ripken Jr. and the world champion Baltimore Orioles live from Memorial Stadium. Exclusively here on Sports Channel, the home of the home teams.
And right now, Jerry Koosman's the batter. No balls, 1 strike. Nobody out. We're in the top of the 4th inning. Mets a half game behind the Phillies coming into tonight's action. And Koosman fouls the ball off. No balls and 2 strikes.
See, Ivan De Jesus, at the top of your picture there, when you're on second base, depending on your speed, of course, you get off far enough to where you can't be picked off. By doing that, there's Yvonne. By doing that, you're not caught going back to second base on a fake. And by going back, and he lays down a good bunt, that narrows down the chance at third base that you'll be thrown out. You get off as far as you can to where you can get back. It's like a lead off of first base almost.
And you got to be careful if you have a good throwing catcher, because if he bunts through the ball, the guy usually leans towards third.
Catch you leaning.
And Koosman swings at a breaking ball, strike 3. Nice pitch from Eddie Lynch. Good. Hernandez will lead it off for the Mets as we go to the bottom of the 4th inning. Phillies 3, Mets 1. 7 hits for the Phils, 2 for the Mets. Jerry Koosman, ex-Met, ex-Twin, ex-White Sox on the mound for the Phillies. He's had a fine career. The southpaw who started it all right here in New York. Hernandez hits a ground ball up the middle. Samuel boots the ball and cannot find a handle. Scored an error on Juan Samuel.
Well, Franny, you're a genius, pal. You just mentioned about Samuel the last inning. Talked about his offense, and you talked about his defense. Samuel driving in a run and the top of the 4th, and now he puts Jerry Koosman in trouble right here.
I like the way you said I was a genius. Nobody's ever called me that before. Should have heard what the teachers called me in school.
You know, really a point right there. When I moved to third base, I was kind of a master of no position. Even though I played behind the plate a lot of years. But I did have a chance to move around. I played some first base and some third base. It took 8 billion ground balls at third base in '72. Gene Mock said when you try to backhand a ball.
There's George Foster swings through a pitch, 1 ball, 1 strike.
When you try to backhand the ball, try to catch it in the web. And I really didn't know what he was talking about then, but what that does, it softens up your hands. You don't stab at the ball, and you saw the ball there hit Samuel in the heel of the glove, and that's where your errors come from.
That's an interesting point right there. Try to catch the ball in the web as Foster swings, 1 ball, 2 strikes. You know, I almost think if you don't catch it in the web, although I never played the infield, I would say not to catch it in the pocket, because if that ball's hammered, you might have a problem catching that ball, whereas there is some give away from the hand area. But you know, Tim, today the infielders use such small gloves, or are supposed to use such small gloves. There's not much room in there for the web. I guess the gloves are getting bigger. The infielders even today are using bigger gloves. They don't care.
Well, that's personal preference, but the big thing is when you cross over like that, your arm is extended, it's stiff, and what you have to do is soften up those hands as much as you can. Play under the hop and come up on the hop, and that Samuel did not do that there, and that's why he booted the ball.
And you hit it right in the nose. A stiff arm will make stiff hands as Koosman goes to first. In fact, if you're an infielder and you're having trouble with hard hands, or any place, catcher, outfielder, check those arms. If you can get a little break in the elbow, that'll give you soft hands. If you have a stiff elbow, you're going to have hard hands. And here's the 1-2 pitch as Foster fouls the ball back and out of play. 1-2. As Tim McCarver mentioned, electricity in the air here at Shea Stadium. A little deja vu for the Mets. They have a good ball club this year. As you look at Davey Johnson, who's done an outstanding job talking to a guy that's done a great job as a pinch hitter, Rusty Staub. What do you see?
See a couple of fans down there.
Curveball and a ground ball. Nice play by Schmidt over second for 1. The first, double play. 5-4-3 double play.
Now this ball, George Foster hitting into a little tough luck right here. He hits it well, a little hanging curveball. Boy, that Schmidt makes it look easy. Now watch it pivot by Samuel. That's what I'm talking about. He has enough ability to adjust to that position. I mean, that is a seed he threw to first base. Looked like Manny Trio turning that double play.
I'd tell you, he really did throw a bullet right there. And you took a good look at Mike Schmidt doing something he's done so very well.
And Samuel used the bag then to protect himself also. He's behind the bag when he made the play.
And Darryl Strawberry takes strike 1 from Jerry Koosman. No balls, 1 strike on Strawberry. Bottom of the 4th inning, 3-1. Phillies on top of the Mets. Strawberry hits a ground ball to Samuel. He comes up with it and throws a seed to first base. And that'll do it for the Mets here in the bottom of the 4th. Through 4 innings of play here at Shea, the score, Phillies 3, Mets 1. 1 from Jerry Koosman. 1 ball, 1 strike on Hubie Brooks. Bottom of the 5th inning here at Shea Stadium. 4-1. Phillies on top of the Mets. Big crowd on hand for this first game of this 3-game series. Koosman against Lynch. There's that curveball outside. 2 balls and 1 strike. Talking about the Mets trail, and they've been playing excellent baseball coming into tonight's action. And Brooks takes ball 3. 3 balls and 1 strike. What do you do right here, Tim McCarver?
If you're Hubie or the pitcher?
If you're Hubie.
Look for a fastball to whale away on.
All right. There it is, and he takes strike 2, 3-2.
Well, you can't be surprised by a pitch like that. That's the one you're going to sit on. You're going to Hacken. I doubt that he was taking all the way there. Koosman has good control.
Ball up and out of strike zone.
So now you're hacking at a 2-strike pitch, and that's what happens when you're on the defense. Timmy Leary warming for the Mets. Big difference with 2 strikes. You're more prone to swinging a ball out of the strike zone because you're protecting against the plate and you don't want to get punched out.
Good point. Ozzie Virgil flashing signs to Koosman, and there's a line drive to Samuel. Hubie Brooks chasing that ball once again. And we'll take a look at some of the National League scores right there, Tim McCarver.
Chicago Cubs 4-0 over the Pittsburgh Pirates, bottom of the 5th. 0-0 LA at Cincinnati in the bottom of the 4th. 5-0 Montreal over St. Louis, bottom of 4. 5-3 those red hot Giants who have won 7 of 10. Sounded like somebody just hit one here from Atlanta. And LA over Cincinnati, or I should say San Diego at Houston, scoreless, top of the 2nd inning.
And Mike Fitzgerald, the batter, fouls the ball right below us. Strike 1. Fitzgerald flied to center field his first time. I've hit the ball a long way, and Gary Maddox made a nice play. Once he caught the ball, he tripped and rolled into the wall out there at the 4:10 mark. And the 0-1 pitch up high. 1 ball and 1 strike. The Mets just coming off a nice road trip to St. Louis, your old stomping grounds. You matriculated in St. Louis for a number of years. What was it, about 11?
13.
Was it?
Yeah. Yeah.
1 ball, 1 strike on Mike Fitzgerald. Nice hot weather out there in St. Louis. Hot and muggy. This might be too cool for the Mets right now. Swing on and miss. 1 ball and 2 strikes.
You mentioned Gary Maddox at center field. He has 8 gold gloves. Among outfielders, only Roberto Clemente with 11 and Willie Mays with 12 gold gloves rank higher.
I remember Gary Maddox coming into the big leagues with the San Francisco Giants. Mike Fitzgerald takes a curveball down low, 2-2. Gary Maddox joined the club. Of course, they had the guy out in center field that set all the records, Willie Mays. And Charlie Fox decided to teach Gary how to play center field instead of having Willie teach him. But anyways,
that makes a lot of sense.
Hey, now, whoever did it, they did a great job. Down low, 3-2. Gary Maddox then got traded to the Phillies, done an outstanding job here in Philadelphia. And you're looking at a guy who established himself in New York. One of the more popular Met players over the years. Strike 3.
Talk about a lesson in concentration right there with Koosman. The 1-2 curveball was close. The 2-2 fastball was close. He didn't let that bother him, as John McSherry called them both the ball, and he came back and punched out Mike Fitzgerald. He's learned a lot of that concentration from Carlton. As a matter of fact, we're old hunting buddies. For 7 of 11 years, we went to Montana and British Columbia, hunted elk and deer.
And Jose Aquindo takes a fastball up high, 1 ball, no strikes. I tell you, if you're hunting with somebody, you better have good concentration.
Got that right. And wear your orange.
There's a line drive. Nice play, Ivan DeJesus. Ball was not hit that hard, but it had base hit written all over it. And that should do it here for the Mets in the 5th. 3 up, 3 down, and after 5, the score here at Shea, Phillies 4, Mets 1.
It's Civil War buff. So tonight's kind of like the first Battle of Bull Run. Tomorrow night will be like the second Battle of Bull Run.
You like Civil War also?
Yes, I do.
I was a history major.
Were you?
Yeah, a confused history major, but a history major. No, I liked it. As the pitcher, Jerry Koosman is the batter.
Tom Gorman warming for the Mets.
1 ball, no strikes on Koosman. And he tried to check it, but he went around. 1-1.
If you were a history major, then you obviously know who won both battles of Bull Run.
That's right, Mr. Bull.
Well, that was a different battle.
Oh, nice play by Brooks. Score is 5-3. Red-lettered play by Brooks.
Remember we were talking about when you cross over, catch it in the web? Watch this. Right in the web. Snow cone in the web. He catches it, softens up. Strong throw gets Jerry Koosman. Watch the web shot. No pun intended, Bill. Bill Webb, our director.
Oh, Kelvin Chapman is the pinch hitter. He's batting .319, no home runs, 2 RBIs. Been up 47 times with 15 hits. Chapman pinch hitting for starting pitcher Ed Lynch. By the way, Kelvin Chapman has a virus, temperature of about 100. He fouls the ball back out of play, but he's in the game as a pinch hitter.
Yeah, he was scheduled to start tonight's game, and because he was feeling weak, as you said, he had some fever, 100 degrees. He's a gamer, pal.
Well, you got to feel miserable when you get that temp. You know, it's funny, though, when you are sick, you're more relaxed when you're playing. I mean, if you can walk. A lot of guys are so keyed up when they feel good, they're over-anxious when you're sick. Last thing you're going to be is over-anxious.
So the idea is to go out and try to catch as many virus, what is it, viri?
I'm still wondering about Bull Run as Chapman slaps the ball. See, I told you, he's relaxed, base hit.
Nice call, pal. They have all the Mets hanging around with Kelvin Chapman tonight after the game. Let him breathe on him for a while. 4-2 Yankees over Detroit. Bottom of the 5th, Milwaukee 2-1. Those struggling Brewers over the red-hot Blue Jays. Baltimore losing to Boston 4-1, bottom of the 4th. Cleveland and Minnesota, with Minnesota batting in the bottom of the 1st. Minnesota only 3 games out in an American League West. And the other games slated for tonight, Texas, California, Chicago, and Seattle.
And the batter, Mookie Wilson. Mookie swings to the fastball, strike 1.
The battles of Bull Run were both won by the South, pal. First battle of the Civil War when the people came from Washington, D.C. I've been to Bull Run and seen the little stream there.
There's a base hit for Mookie Wilson, and it's extra bases. Mookie Wilson picking up a double. Kelvin Chapman on third base, and the Mets are on the move.
How about this, sports fans? Now, Timmy Cochran, normally an outfielder playing first base, really should have this ball. He came off the bag too far and then had to dive back as Chapman slips running around second base. I said he should have had it. I'll retract that statement. He dived for the ball. It was on the line, but the point is he didn't position himself well. He was holding Chapman on. As a result, a little cue shot down the line, and the Mets have something going here.
And Ron Gardenhire will be the batter. He singled and grounded to third, so he's 1 for 2. If you just tuned in to Sports Channel, it's the Phillies against the Mets. Game 1 of this big 3-game series here at Shea Stadium.
Larry Anderson and Weirmeister, I should say, the right-handers warming for the Mets, or for the Phillies.
And the Phils have a 4-1 lead. But the Mets are threatening here in the bottom of the 6th. And Gardenhire pops the ball up. Corcoran with a chance to redeem himself. Is under it and makes the play. 1 down.
Now Ron Gardenhire too anxious. You want to get a ball to drive. That a high fastball. You can see the frustration in Gardy's actions there.
Well, the batter will be Keith Hernandez. Hernandez 0 for 2 in his game. Grounded to second and reached on an error. Mentioned game 1 of this 3-game series. All the action here at Shea Stadium. If you can't make it out to Shea, you can catch all the action on Sports Channel. Tonight, tomorrow night, and Thursday afternoon as Koosman takes the third base.
Jerry Koosman balked the last time the Phillies were here at Shea Stadium, and he almost did it again. Oquendo giving him something to worry about there at third base.
And Hernandez hits a ground ball to second. Mets will pick up a run as Samuel goes to first, and it's now 4-2 in favor of the Phillies.
out. You want to score more than 1 run. And it'd be a big psychological lift for the Phillies if they can get out of this by giving up only 1 run. Key situation right here.
Right. George Foster, the batter, he's 0 for 2 in tonight's ball game. As I mentioned, the score, Phillies 4, Mets 2, bottom of the 6th inning. Electricity in the air here at Shea Stadium.
It really is.
Yeah, I'll tell you, the crowd really alive here at Shea. And more to come tomorrow, the Mets and the Phils. Foster takes ball 1. Tim, you hit it on the nose. That run out there right now is very big.
Really is. Big difference going into the final 3. 1 run down as opposed to 2 runs down. That's actually a bigger difference than only 1 run.
And of course, psychologically, if you can get those 2 runs across after putting him on the bases with nobody out. So let's see what happens right now. Mano a mano. Jerry Koosman against George Foster. Mookie Wilson on third base. Ball, 2-0.
Situations like this, Koosman has run that slider in when he really doesn't care about walking a hitter. Even though Foster's a time run, he's not a base-stealing threat. You're liable to see a breaking ball here to George Foster. You're not in a challenging situation from a pitcher's standpoint now. By the way, he's been working on that slider with Steve Carlton, who has the best in baseball and has for the last 10 years.
One of the reasons this guy's been around a long time, he's a good pitcher, he's adjusted well. He's not too old to learn something new. A lot of guys in their 30s say, I can't adjust, I can't change. I'm going to go with what got me here. In fact, we had a guy in the booth just a little while ago, a good friend of ours, Jim Cott, who's adjusted so many times over the years, and he spent 20-some-odd years in the big leagues.
25 years, more than any other pitcher in the history of the game. 25 in the major leagues.
Well, here we go. Koosman against Foster. 2-0. 3-0. What do you do here, Tim McCarver?
Well, you turn him loose, but George is not a good 3-0 hitter. There are a lot of guys who don't like to hit 3-0 because they get overly anxious, and I think George is one of those.
On deck, Darryl Strawberry. Outside, ball 4. So the Mets have George Foster on first base right now. You're looking at Hope Owens. Philly manager Mookie Wilson's on third base. 2 outs, bottom of the 6th. And a guy who could be coming out of a slump. He's 0 for 2 tonight, Darryl Strawberry. Had a nice afternoon in St. Louis, 2 home runs. Ooh, boy, Darryl does not like that pitch right there. Strike 1. One and 1. Koosman rolling that curveball in the dirt. Nice block by Ozzie Virgil, but as you know, Tim, we're supposed to look for it down there.
Yeah, you anticipate a breaking ball in the dirt all the time. It should never surprise you. It may get by you, but it should never surprise you in the dirt. You can get surprised by that heater in the dirt, however.
We saw the runners. Mookie Wilson on third, George Foster on first. 1 and 1 on Strawberry. Curveball down low. 2 and 1.
Close pitch, wasn't it?
Very close. I thought the fastball was close when he called his strike. And that was a close pitch there. Davey Johnson, manager of the Mets, looking on as one of his stars takes down low, ball 3. 3 and 1.
Things are about as tense here as a hermit expecting company. Telling you.
Once again, the cry from the crowd, let's go Mets, as Jerry Koosman might be confused because at one time he was the mainstay along with Tom Seaver, the Mets pitching staff, as a look at Hubie Brooks on deck. And Strawberry fouls the ball out of play.
Jerry Koosman may be a lot of things, but rarely is he confused. He's the type of guy who really comes at hitters. He has got a big heart, Franny.
Right now, he needs it. Here he comes. And Strawberry puts the ball in play. Foster tries to distract Samuel, but to no avail. And they get Strawberry at first base, and the Mets score 1 here in the bottom of the 6th. After 6 complete, we'll be right back. There's the score, Phillies 4, Mets 2.
Come back here. Hubie Brooks will lead it off. Hubie has been on a tear, but he's been stymied tonight. He has struck out against Koosman. And a little trademark line drive to Samuel back in the 5th inning. Phillies scored 2 in the 2nd, 1 in the 4th, 1 in the 5th. The Mets countered with 1 in the 3rd, 1 in the 6th. Fouls it back. Hubie did not have a good at bat the last time up. He took a 3-1 pitch down the middle and then swung at 2 bad balls. The latter one he hit on the bat handle to second. But he has not had a lot of those at bats in the last 40 games.
He has hit in 36 of his last 40 games, hitting .369 over that period. Brought a modest 4-game hitting streak into this game.
I tell you, Koosman is throwing like the Koosman of old. There is no noticeable difference in his fastball from 15 years ago, from up here.
40 years of age.
Unbelievable as he strikes out Brooks for the 2nd time tonight. 4th strikeout for Koosman, and it's 1 away. Mike Fitzgerald hitting for the Mets. Fitzy 0 for 2. He is struck out, and he hit a ball deep to Maddox on a fine play by the Gold Glover. What was your line about Gary Lee Maddox? I love it.
2/3 of the earth covered by water, and the other third by Gary Maddox.
Oh, what a marvelous line. And about half right.
Pretty close.
You're rather facetious saying it, but boy, he can track them down with the best of them. 1-0 to Fitzgerald. Fastball is low, 2-0. Oquendo on deck.
The thing about Maddox that you have to like, he plays such a shallow center field. He takes an awful lot of base hits away.
He takes the clunkers away and still can get back to catch the balls that are hit deep. Fitzy fouls it away, 2-1. Mets hitters tonight have not been selective in selected counts. 2-0, 3-1. 1-0 when you want that ball right down Broadway. They've been having a tendency to go at bad balls. Fouls this one back.
In the National League, the Cubs trying to come back from their disaster series with Philadelphia, leading 4-0 over Pittsburgh in the 7th. The Dodgers leading Cincinnati 3-0 in the 5th. And Montreal leading the Cardinals 5-2 in the 6th. San Francisco trailing Atlanta 7-5 in the 6th, and no score San Diego at Houston in the 3rd.
Ground ball to shortstop, De Jesus to first base, 2 away. Fans, the game on June 30th against the Atlanta Braves, scheduled for a 7:35 start, has been changed to an afternoon game beginning at 1:20 p.m. Again, all fans holding tickets for the Saturday night June 30th game against Atlanta. Please don't change the game time. It is now a 1:20 afternoon game. The gates will open that day at 11:20. As you'll note that change in game time. 0-1 to Jose Oquendo. Ball hit well to center, but Maddox is there, and he makes the catch. 3 up, 3 down. First time since the Mets' 5th inning they've been retired in order. They've done it 3 times tonight. And after 7, it's Philadelphia 4, New York 2.
And Healy and the Philadelphia Phillies started going in the 2nd inning. They had 2 men on base in the 1st inning, but didn't score, and now it's Gary Maddox to lead off. And Maddox with a double down the left field line. Over there is George Foster to play the ball, but Maddox with that good speed into second base with a stand-up double. And now Ozzie Virgil puts the Phillies on top with a 2-run home run. For Ozzie Virgil, it's his 9th home run of the year, his first against the New York Mets, and the Phillies on that home run, leading by a score of 2-0. Now this ball right here hit by Ozzie Virgil on the plate at first base. The out is made, and that was a run for the New York Mets. And now Mookie Wilson coming up on this side. Good play by the shortstop, and on that play, Oquendo, who had double, came in to score from second base. Now ground ball to Hubie Brooks. He bobbles it, throws it away, and it's scored as a 2-error situation. The error to allow the runner to get to first, and then the other error to allow the runner to get down to second base. Now right here, a base hit into left field. Juan Samuel getting the base hit, and a run scores, and that makes it a 3-1 ball game. Mike Schmidt tacks on another run as he hits his 15th home run high in the air out to left field into the bullpen. For Mike Schmidt, it is his 37th home run against the New York Mets. So it's a 4-1 ball game, and here's a pinch hitter, Kelvin Chapman. Chapman singles to right field. And as a pinch hitter, he is on at first base. Mets looking for another run. Here's Mookie Wilson coming up. Chapman, the runner at first base. Mookie with the ball off of the glove of the first baseman, Corcoran. And on the play, Chapman goes over to third base. Almost falls down as he goes into second. The throw coming into home. So with runners at second and third, the batter is Keith Hernandez. He grounds the ball to the second baseman. And Samuel throws the first base to pick up the out. And the Mets get their second run of the ball game. In the top of the 8th inning, the batter right here is Juan Samuel. Runners on base. And the base hit in the left field off Tim Lurie. On the play, 2-run score. Virgil comes in from third base, and Ivan De Jesus comes in from second. Now Gardenhire on his first pitch from Holland, and he hits it in the left field, his first home run of the year, and the Mets get one back. Then in the 9th inning with 2 men away, the batter will be Hubie Brooks. The pitcher is Holland, and Hubie hits it out of sight. It goes over the back wall in the bullpen. And Hubie with his 9th home run of the season, that ball just out of the ballpark. Holland unhappy with the pitch. Mets now have scored 4 runs. They're 2 runs out. The batter coming up now is Mike Fitzgerald. And Mike Fitzgerald a chance to keep it going. He hits it hard, but out here in left field, Von Hayes makes the diving catch. And that's the ball game. So the Philadelphia Phillies won it. The final score, the Philadelphia Phillies 6, the New York Mets 4.